moving on to Blood Widow from 2014, which is about a couple who they buy a house near an abandoned boarding school, but they have no idea that there's still a lone survivor of a massacre living in that abandoned building. Now, this is okay. It's a low budget horror movie, so look, there's definitely a lot of things to kind of critique here. I guess let's start with the acting. So I think the acting is below average, but I guess you could say it's acceptable for this type of budget, though the characters, not really anyone to root for, and a part of that is just because the acting ain't great. You don't really... None of the actors in here make you really care too much about the characters. Maybe just maybe the lead actress, but that's only because her boyfriend was such a dick, and you kind of feel sorry for her being so patient with this stupid asshole. But look, the movie as a whole, not so good. I think the Blood Widow character, is somewhat intriguing. And I might touch more on that as we discuss the movie, but overall, it's a below average movie. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so this is going to, I guess, spike off one of the more maybe involved conversations of the night. I had a hard time rating this movie and Deja Vu, which we'll discuss later. I think both movies are pretty terrible. And both of them have different reasons. Even right now, I'm not sure which one I disliked more. But my main issue with this one is it's only 80 minutes, so it's not a very long movie. But there's actually not much that happens. We get very, very little character development. And the character development we do get just... I mean, like you said, the guy's a dick, so who cares if he has a bad time, boo-hoo. And I don't know, like most of the scenes with the dismemberment and such, I mean, they're pretty weak overall. Some of them were like I'm pretty sure nobody's that strong enough to just chop off a head in a single go. It just seemed a bit ridiculous. We don't really get that much. We don't really know that much about this whole Blood Widow individual. They look cool, but even so, I just looking cool, it does not excuse a lack of I don't know, intrigue. I mean, because at times you sort of, given what little we know about this character, you sort of want to not necessarily root for them, but at least understand why they're doing what they're doing. And there's not really much in the way of sympathy, because it's just complete failure to even try to engage anybody. Oh, hey, this is what's going on. It just, I don't know. I like some of the more grey morality antagonists, and you would, given this background of this character, you'd expect Blood Widow to sort of fit that, just fit the idea, but the character really doesn't. And I don't know, I have no problem with low quality movies, and the quality of this one actually made me think it could have been better than what it was. I just think the story and script was extraordinarily lacking. There's only, in my opinion, there's only one character, even worth remembering, and that's a stereotypical hippie character, who is nature lava, takes acid, and I think her name's even Harmony. So, it's trying to put as many stereotypes into this one caricature of a hippie, and it's just utterly ridiculous. But she's like the only character I had any interest in, and we'll obviously see where that gets her, so.
Yeah, well, she doesn't last all that long. Look, yeah, the Blood Widow character, played by Gabrielle Ann Henry, I think the character's intriguing, but yes, we definitely need to know more about the character. There's just, yeah, there's not a whole lot that we know. But I do, obviously, the character looks cool, so I like the design. I think she moves quite well, at least in the scenes that aren't using some sort of speed change. Like, there's certain scenes where they just accelerate the frame rate, I guess. Like that, I think there's one scene where she kind of chops off, what was it, 1 or 2 heads at the same time. It just happens just unnaturally quick. Yeah, and that happens a couple of times throughout the movie where they kind of speed things up. But outside of that, I think she moves pretty well. So it's just more of a matter of, yeah, let's get some more story on this character.
I have to say one thing that sort of, it didn't necessarily interest me, but there was a big point made out of whose vehicle that was outside. I guess I didn't recognize it. But it's like 8 people sleeping on the floor. So did they think that I'll just walk there? It's a small point that came. I just didn't get it. Like, it seems like those people on the floor just sort of disappeared, or they were sort of sleeping when all of this stuff went down, or they just went home in somebody else's unseen vehicle. It's just like a very small point, but something that easily either didn't need to be mentioned, or they just didn't need to have those characters on the floor. So that's again just, it seems like script writing 101 in my view, which might make sense given that, from my understanding, this movie was made by a bunch of people who I think just graduated some film thing in college. So
yeah,
but even so, I feel like they probably could have done a little better with the idea they had.
To be honest, I think for someone, making their first film just from graduating whatever college or program that they are doing, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, there's just a bunch of details that it needs, and yeah, it needs more to the story. Definitely, it could have done with just an overall better script, but in terms of just the production value and things like that, it didn't look too bad.
Yeah, actually, I think the production value might be one of the, I guess, quote-unquote, bad things in the movie.
I mean, it's got a 2.9 on IMDb when I last checked, and look, I'm not going to say the movie deserves a good score, but to be honest, I think it's a little bit better than that. I've seen movies where I've given, 1s and 2s, and this is certainly slightly better quality than some of those. Anyways, I guess another thing that didn't really work well in its favor is it seems to have gotten a whole bunch of popular horror movie websites giving publicity to this movie, at least when it came out. Because you can see in the credits, it thanks it thanks all the different websites. Obviously the big ones like Bloody Disgusting, and I think there was Dread Central and all these other ones.
Oh yeah, I was actually impressed by all the names they had.
Yeah, so, and I think I remember back in the day when this did come out that, they were kind of doing a couple of posts about this, so they definitely gave it a lot of publicity to get it recognized. And they also thanked their Facebook fans, so fans might be a stretch with that IMDb rating, but I guess every movie out there has its fan base, even if it's small. And actually, while we're on the topic of IMDb, I noticed there was supposedly a sequel for this, but I don't think it's had any updates since 2017. So,
well, hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah. If they are going to make a sequel, I hope the guy that made the first one, he listens to what the fans are saying about this one. Clearly, there's a lot of issues that people have with this movie, and I don't think it's a complete wreck. Like, they've got a somewhat decent, intriguing character to actually do something with, and if they can actually listen to all those critiques about the first movie, who knows, maybe they can make something half watchable for the second movie, if they do make a second. I guess just a couple other things that I had down here. Look, first off, man, that party sucks. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, it's a type of party that I would hate to be at. People just randomly jumping up and down to repetitive music, and it's just not my idea of a fun time. But I guess that's what a lot of other people enjoy. One other thing is, it's pretty frustrating when movies go with the easy route of having the whole there's no mobile phone reception here. It's like such a cheap, or it's like a cheap device to help the scare factor, or when someone needs help they can't call for help, that type of thing. I just wish movies would kind of knock that type of thing off. I mean, it's 2014. It's not like 2000. I mean, I get they're out in the sticks, but even here, you go to a rural area like that, a place with even less houses, and you still get reception. So I don't know how it is in America. Maybe they got really shitty phone providers. Who knows?
Well, we have really shitty everything. But even so, I still think it doesn't strike me as extraordinarily realistic.
I mean, every single phone has no reception. I mean, I can understand maybe one or two, depending who the carrier is, maybe, but yeah, that just annoys me. And I guess the only other point here that I had was just the way the movie ends. Look, I'm all good with the, not having such a nice, happy ending, but it just feels like the movie's still missing an ending. And maybe that comes down to the fact that we still know nothing about this character, come in, kill everyone, and that's about it. I don't know. Maybe that's why a sequel should happen, because we need something more to go on with the way this ended, but clearly, with how much people enjoyed this movie, I'm sure no one's going to cry if they don't make this sequel.
Somewhat, I'm not sure if it's ironic, but honestly, a sequel could be much worse. So, I mean, I don't know if they have anything to lose. I did what you point out, one quick thing. It's just one of my favorite pieces of dialogue in the movie. So, there's a scene toward the end when this one guy and this other guy are going through a house. And they have a conversation which roughly goes like this. Check the other rooms. Hey, I'm not checking the other rooms. Please, check the other rooms. Find what room. Hey, that room. And that's the conversation. It was... Yeah, it was just great. That's really all I had.
Mwah. That's beautiful screenwriting.
Yeah, I like that dialogue. It's some good stuff.
Yeah, so Blood Widow. It's kind of impressive if you're going from the standpoint of someone just randomly making their first movie, but look, compared to everything else that's out there, it's not very good. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. When I first watched it, I was thinking a 3, because I actually watched this maybe last year, and yeah, I didn't dislike it as much the second time around, but it's still definitely not a good movie.
Yeah, so this one, like I said, the preface of my talking about this, I really didn't care for this. I feel like they could have made this movie in 60 minutes and it would have been a bit more bearable. They had made it like 50 minutes, then we're talking about like maybe this is a good movie. There's just some small changes they could have made. Not even giant script overhauls, just small changes they could have made to make this a little more palatable. As it is though, I had a hard time with this one. Despite some of the things I liked about it, such as my homegirl Harmony, and her giant Buddha statue for some reason. I just couldn't find it within me to take mercy on this movie. So I'm throwing this one a 2 out of 10.
That's a beautiful score for a beautiful movie.
I know, it just keeps getting better.
Wow. When the sequel comes out, you'll be all over it.
Yeah, and of course, if the sequel does come out, we will always be happy to watch it. Happy might be a strong word, but we'll watch it.
Yeah, just if they ever do like a GoFundMe or something, Jiggy will be right there to donate $80 for a Blu-ray.
Yeah, just to see my name at the credits. So.